Good morning, class. Okay, we are going to do our Jacob's Ladder. I know, your favorite. So, as always, we always take 2 days to do our Jacob's Ladders. The first day, we read the story and we do the first 3. So in this case, we're going to do C1, C2, and C3 all together. And then tomorrow, you guys are going to do D1, D2, and D3 individually. So if you have not read the story already, I need you to pause the video and go read it now, okay? If you need help getting there, it's under Wednesday under our Google Sites. There's a little button that says Seesaw. Click it. It should take you to Seesaw, log in with your Grana SD account, and then it should have Mary Poppins Secret. You can read through it. Make sure you read it well. And then it also has the ladder questions there. Write your ladder questions on a separate piece of paper, and then when you turn it in, you'll just take a picture of it and upload it to Seesaw, and I'll be able to get it there, okay? Make sure it's legible. Make sure I can read it. Make sure your name's on it. Okay. If you haven't read it, pause this video and go read it now. If you're having an issue seeing it for whatever reason, just make sure, you can rewind it as much as you want and just listen to it, and I'll help you kind of walk through those. It's going to be different because normally we have a discussion. But yeah, so, okay, good luck. Okay, so the first question on our ladder is C1. So I wrote C1, literary elements, just like we always do. So this question says, using a Venn diagram, I drew mine already, compare and contrast the characters of Mary Poppins and the narrator of the story. So first of all, we need to know who's the narrator. The narrator was not Mary Poppins in this case, okay? The narrator was the fairy, right? So we have this fairy, and she would go around and give kids good dreams, but she was naughty one day and gave a kid a bad dream. And so Mary Poppins is this drill instructor, and she's there to make sure that fairy knows how to do things right? She's very strict, she's very mean. So the fairy is narrating this story. So we need to compare and contrast Mary Poppins and the narrator, okay? So let's have Mary Poppins be on this side. Mary Poppins, so I just wrote her name in the top, and then I will write our narrator at the top of this one. Narrator. Okay, so let's think about this. Mary Poppins, she is just ruthless, right? She's a ruthless instructor, okay? She's kind of like a dictator. She just tells and tells and tells, make sure you have to follow. She's not very kind, right? So we can put that on here. She is ruthless dictator, okay? Now, our narrator is not, it doesn't really say whether she's super nice or super mean, right? But we do know that she got into some trouble, which tells us she was kind of mischievous, right? She tried to play a trick, okay? So she could be kind of mischievous. M-I-S-C-H-I-E-V-O-S, mischievous. Okay, now, Mary Poppins, she was very demanding, right? She told you what to do. She didn't say, well, would you like to do this, right? She just said, nope, this is what you're going to do. She wrote out a whole list and schedule and was like, at this time you need to do this. At this time you need to do this, okay? So she was demanding. I think that's fair to put under Mary Poppins. I wish that you guys could be here and you guys could give me all of these great ideas yourself, because you guys are so good at it. Okay, now, we could say that she was demanding to the narrator, right? So in a sense, we could say that our narrator was technically a victim, right? She was the victim. She was a victim to all of Mary Poppins' demands, right? She had to follow her orders. She had to take her orders. At one point, the narrator was saying, like, man, I wish that I could give her a bad dream, but she knew better, right? So we could say that the narrator was a victim. She was the one who was being, she was kind of under Mary Poppins. Okay, next, let's talk about Mary Poppins. Did Mary Poppins have magical powers? The Mary Poppins that you guys know, we've always thought, wow, Mary Poppins has these magical powers. She's the best nanny. She's awesome, right? But in this story, did she have magical powers? No, she did not, right? She does not have real magical powers. So that is something that I think is important to note here, because the whole story was basically saying, you guys know Mary Poppins is this, but I'm here to tell you that that's not right. She is not who you think she is, right? She doesn't actually have real powers. Poppins. We have ruthless dictator, demanding, doesn't have magical powers. So far under narrator, we have that they're mischievous, they're a victim, and to contrast that, she does have real magic powers, right? So has real magic powers. Okay, now both. What is something that they both have? Now this one, we can kind of brainstorm a little bit, right? Because personality-wise, they are different. Their role, it is different, right? Mary Poppins is very much so in a kind of like a leader role, and our narrator is not. Obviously, our narrator is taking demands from Mary Poppins. It's not like she also is a leader. But one has magical powers and one doesn't. But one thing that we can, I think it's important to note, is that they both are part of this secret fairy world, right? There's this fairy, and the other humans don't know about it. They don't know that these fairies are going around giving good dreams and potentially bad dreams, right? But Mary Poppins does know, and she's in charge of making sure these fairies stay in line. So I think a good thing to note is that they are both a part of a secret fairy world. So both part of a secret fairy world. Okay? Okay, good. If you guys need to pause this, take a minute, fill those in. I hope you can see all of this. Okay, let's go ahead and move up the ladder. So our second part is C2, and it's titled Inference. So again, I wrote C2, I titled it Inference. Now the question says, the narrator claims to have done all of Mary Poppins' work for her. What evidence does the narrator provide to support her claim? What inferences can you make about Mary Poppins based on the story? So this is asking multiple questions, okay? First off, let's talk about what an inference is. We do inferences a lot in this class. Every Monday we look at our picture, the New York Times picture of the week, and we make inferences, right? So an inference, we're using evidence, the evidence that we do have, and we're basically making a claim, okay? So we're making an inference based on evidence, okay? It's not made up. We're not saying that we think in the past Mary Poppins and this fairy were really good friends and then they had a falling out, okay? That's not an inference because we have no evidence based on that, okay? So we want to use the information that we do have to make an inference. It's kind of like an educated guess. The narrator claims to have done all of Mary Poppins' work for her, right? Our narrator is claiming this. She's basically saying, Mary Poppins has no powers, I have all the powers. She gave me a memo, a list of everything that I needed to do, and everyone was really impressed by her, but they had no idea that it wasn't actually her, okay? Now, what evidence does the narrator provide to support her claim? Let's do that one first. So what evidence does she provide? Well, she provides this whole list of, like this whole memo, right? She has this whole list of things for her to do. Now, if you guys have any other inferences that you want to add on your own, that's great. I will look at those and I will read those, okay? So the narrator does provide this memo, though, for Mary Poppins with a list of chores that the narrator wants to complete, right? Now, also in parentheses of this, the narrator explains how she used her magic to perform these chores, right? She says, oh, I did this and I did this. Oh, one time I accidentally used the shampoo instead of the bubble bath, okay? And but she does perform these chores, and she makes it look like Mary was doing them. So based on this evidence, Mary Poppins is a fraud, right? Because she didn't really do any of these things she claimed to do. So let's first go, not to get ahead of ourselves, so what evidence does the narrator provide to support this claim? So let's first state that the narrator, she provides us a memo. So narrator provides a memo from Mary Poppins. I'm going to write from Mary just to save some space. From Mary with a list of chores the narrator was to complete for her. And then again, we can state that, like in parentheses, the narrator kind of explains how she used her magic to perform. So she explained how she used magic to perform these chores. Okay? And obviously, she wanted to make it look like Mary was doing these, right? Now, again, inferences have evidence, so it says, what inferences can you make about Mary Poppins based on the story? So, based on evidence, so we've made an inference that obviously Mary wants to look like she has magic powers. So, Mary wants people to think she is magic. And we can really infer that she's a liar, right? That's what a fraud means. A fraud means that you are saying that you're someone, but you're not actually that person. So she is a fraud because she didn't actually do what she claimed to do. Right? She made a lot of claims. She was saying, oh, wow, watch me do this, right? She didn't actually do any of that. The fairy did. Okay. Again, pause this at any time. I know I'm going fast, but I'm going fast because I know that you guys can pause it and reverse it at any time. Okay, we are on theme and concept now. That theme and concept question, so C3 says, why did the narrator share this memo with the world? What ideas does she want to share? So, now theme, remember we talk about theme a lot. Theme is basically, what is this story trying to tell you? What is the main idea? What does it want you to learn from this story, okay? And concept is the same thing. What is the main concept of this story? What can you pull away from this story? Did you read this story and learn something, or did it give you, did it have some underlying idea or lesson that you learned, okay? So theme and concept. So why did the narrator share this memo with the world, and what ideas does she want to share? Now on this one, this is very much kind of a personal, I mean there obviously is a theme that everyone should get at, but people can pull different things from this, right? People learn different things. One thing is that the narrator did share the memo with the world because she wanted to expose Mary Poppins as a fraud, right? She wanted people to know. She obviously had a reason for doing this. She was clearly mad about it, and multiple times she even said, there were times that I thought of doing this, right? I should write my own book. At the time, they were writing books about Mary, and everyone thought she was so great, but if they only knew, right? It's almost like a vengeance, right? She's coming back, and she's like, I want people to know who Mary is. She was so mean, and I feel so bad for that last fairy. I swear, as I was going away, I saw a tear in her eye, right? So I think that the narrator shared this memo, and I think that we can agree, because she wanted to expose Mary, right? She wanted, I'm going to actually start up here. I want to restate the question in my wording. So I'm going to write, the narrator shared the memo. Grab some white out real quickly. The memo with the world because she wanted to expose Mary as a fraud, right? She wanted people to know that she was not She didn't have magical powers, she was a fraud, she was lying. Now, looking back at that question, it says, what ideas does she want to share? So she wants to share the idea that people should not take credit for other people's accomplishments, right? She's basically saying that this is not just. She feels like she did all of that and Mary got all of the credit. So she wants people to know that there's this idea that you can try to take credit for other people's accomplishments, and you can't do that, right? So I'm going to say that. So she wants to share the idea let's see, she wants to share the idea that people should not take credit for others' accomplishments. Accomplishments is ACCOMPLISHMENT. Accomplishments. Okay? So, we have C1 literary elements, and we've made our Venn diagram to compare the two. C2, we talked about our inferences, right? And then C3, we talked about the theme and the concept that they're trying to tell you, right? What was our narrator telling us? Why did our narrator do this? Did they have a purpose for writing this and sharing this memo? Yes, they did, right? They felt injustice, and they wanted people to know that Mary Poppins was a fraud. All right, guys. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that maybe I can find an easier way to share this with you guys, but we're taking it day by day, right? All right, I can't wait to see your guys' work, and especially to see how you guys do D1, D2, and D3. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.